It's national meets regional. Welcome to Sidewalks Entertainment, the long-running celebrity, music, and art series. Join us now for an exciting new path to celebrity interviews, music, rising talents, and much, much more.
What's going on? Why aren't they ripping out our eyeballs and eating our faces? And where are the rivers of blood and mountains of bones? I was promised mountains of bones!
I told you we don't eat people.
Why do you keep saying we? You're not one of them. You're a boy.
No, I'm not. I'm a Boxtroll. Eggs, the Boxtroll.
Oh, really? Then let's see you fit in your box.
I can't right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm long-boned.
And you don't talk like them.
I have a speech impediment.
Your ears aren't pointy.
I slept on them funny.
Oh, for goodness sake. Give me your hand. I don't bite.
Hey.
Ooh. See? You're not like them. You're one of us. You're a boy, Eggs.
Hello everyone, I'm Veronica Castro. Welcome to Sidewalks. Thanks for joining me. And today we have our guests, Anthony and Graham, who are filmmakers and animators. And they're here with me to talk about their film, The Boxtrolls, and of course about their career. How are you guys?
Good. Great.
Yeah.
So glad to have you guys here in San Francisco. Thanks for joining us. So I want to start a little bit about what sparked your interest in animation and filmmaking?
Well, for me, honestly, it was comic books. As a kid, I used to make my own comic books, and at a certain point in my head, comic books plus film equals animation. And I loved film and comics, so I thought the combo of the two would turn into animation. But I really didn't know anything about the process, and I went to Sheridan College in Toronto, Canada, and learned how it was actually done, and haven't looked back since.
Wow, okay. So, and then did you doodle as you were growing
always,
up? And
always
just
doodled.
draw random things?
At a certain point, when I finished high school, I was debating about possibly pursuing something in biology and the sciences.
Oh, wow.
But I looked at my, or art, and as I looked at my biology textbooks, they were completely covered in doodles, and I realized probably should stick with the art thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for you, Tony?
Yeah, similar. I always doodled and drew when I was young, and it was one thing you could do while you were watching TV, Creature Double Feature, Channel 38, Boston. So while I was watching King Kong and Ray Harryhausen and doodling, I kind of put it together that doodling and film would be a good thing. My parents said, you're going to college. I didn't want to go to college. They said, you're going to college. So I said, all right, I'm going to art school in Southern California. And they went, at least it's college. So the only way to get into Cal Arts at the time for me was through the animation program. So I always loved animation. So I started there and went through the whole film program.
Great. And then as you guys were growing up and, kind of getting into this world of animation, what types of films or what types of cartoons did you watch growing up?
I always loved the Rankin Bass cartoons as far as like stop motion movies that I can remember. That I always looked so forward to those Christmas specials with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and that crazy one with the New Year's baby with the big ears.
I do.
Love those things. I mean, they always stood out. I loved all forms of animation, but those were so distinctive at the time. Again, I didn't know what the process was, but you could feel the fact that they were real objects moving around. You'd see the hair crawl and the weird sort of nuances that happen with stop motion. It was always a real charming thing. And then I grew up in Canada, so NFB shorts, I was always watching a lot of cartoons. One that always stood out to me was The Big Snit by Richard Conde. It was up for like an Academy Award back in the 80s. And
oh, wow.
It's just, to me, it still is one of the funniest cartoons that's ever been made. And so that really inspired me to want to be a part of animation.
That's awesome. And for you, Tony?
Yeah, same thing, the classic Disney films, Pinocchio that you'd see on Sunday nights. Then, the sort of ultimate film was, when I was a kid, was King Kong. The original King Kong was always the original film I can remember seeing that sort of seeped into my dreams and could always remember. And as I got older, I was lucky enough to see those old animation celebrations that used to come to Harvard Square in Boston or to the Orson Welles Theater. And you got exposed to great art film, art animation films. And there's a couple of couple of animators. There's one, Yuri Norstein from the Soviet Union and the old Soviet Union, and then Frederick Bach was a Canadian animator, and they made films that looked like art that moved. We all grew up with the Warner Brothers cartoons, which were fantastic, but then you saw these other things that were just so gorgeous, and they told different types of more adult stories and stuff, and that's what made me think that you could get into animation and it wouldn't just be solely for kids.
Right. And obviously you guys still watch cartoons
Yeah, well,
at this age.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I never miss a Gumball episode.
Now it's part of our job.
I don't know what do your boys watch now? I watch Gumball with my son all the time. It's our favorite show.
Yeah, there's a lot of SpongeBob in our
Of course, yes.
Yeah, of course. The mighty SpongeBob is always there for you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the first films or projects that you worked on as you were getting into film and animation. For you, I looked up, you've done a slew of different things, Tony, but one that stuck out to me was Back to the Future. You did
I worked on
Back to the Future.
When I worked at ILM at that time, we worked on a lot of films at once. So I did, it's funny because I was probably worked on a Star Trek movie, the Back to the Future movies, Ghost, all there, but there was so many people in the effects animation department, you only got a credit on one of those films.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, I worked on that and The Rocketeer. And the same time I was working on that, studios were coming, Pixar was making TV commercials, and Henry Selick was running Skellington in San Francisco, so there was little bits of animation for Nightmare Before Christmas, and then James and the Giant Peach. So it was a great time in San Francisco to be a storyboard artist or an animator, because there was so many different types of animation going on at one time at one place. It was great.
Right. And for you, Graham?
I worked on a lot of different projects when I first got out of college up in Toronto, Canada. Worked on a TV series I'm not sure too many folks know of, called Mumphy the Elephant. But that was my training ground. That was my training ground, Mumphy.
Yeah.
But I did get the opportunity, being at that studio, once Mumphy wrapped up, we ended up working on a Goofy movie, which was a Disney, hand-drawn feature a long time ago. And it was a great education working on that. The sort of level of line quality and the drawing that you had to have to get through the in-betweening and cleanup that we did was a huge learning curve for me.
Right.
And then I spent almost nearly 15 years in the games industry, sort of working at LucasArts up here in the Bay Area for a long time, on a lot of classics like Full Throttle and The Dig and Outlaws and a whole slew of games.
Oh, wow, great.
Thank you for watching Sidewalks Entertainment on television. Don't forget, after the show, you can visit us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and our website, sidewalkstv.com.
Is that all that's left of the new Roquefort?
Which one is your father?
Lord Portly Rind. He's usually making speeches about cheese. Ah, Winifred! Hello, Mummy dear.
Oh, who is this?
I'm Eggs.
Bert. Expert is a normal name that he has.
Expert. How nice. I, adore names from the Bible.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, whoa!
No. Kiss a lady's hand.
Darling, it's time to take off that dress and burn it.
Don't move. I'll be right back.
But which one's the ladies?
Him.
It's a pleasure to meet you,
Very good.
even if I don't mean it.
What? Well, I never.
And it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, now you guys are doing this film. You're directing the Boxtrolls, and it looks like this is Laika's third feature project. And I'm wondering, I've noticed some of the animations coming from Laika being a bit dark and different. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I'm wondering about how Tim Burton, I feel, has kind of been an influence in that style. Is this the signature style for Laika?
I don't think there's a signature style for Laika necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, I think our CEO, Travis Knight, looks for stories that have a great, full emotional range, that are willing to take the risk to go to a slightly darker place. A lot like those classic Disney films that we were talking about earlier, Pinocchio, because I think he believes that they need to have those darker lows to get those higher highs and have that full range of emotion. So I don't think they choose a particular kind of film. They just want those films that run that full gamut. So I think that's what makes Laika Films sort of singular and what makes them kind of stand out as a group. I mean, I think Coraline was very much a dark fairy tale that played out there. I always thought of it as an art film for kids. And then Paranorman
was more of a sort of funhouse take on horror films and a lot of 80s films.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been there since Coraline. I worked as a story artist on Coraline and Paranorman, and I was extremely excited to work on the Boxtrolls because for me personally, it felt like, wow, we'd done two sort of different takes on horror films and fairy tales. Suddenly the Boxtrolls offered this opportunity to do a comedic adventure, a bigger, brighter film than we'd ever done before, something Terry Gilliam, Monty Python-esque. I mean, none of the previous two films had ever gone anywhere near that territory, so it was exciting to get a chance to do something really, really fresh like that.
Yeah, and it has a big heart, you know, and so we felt it appealed to the whole family. I mean, a little bit younger than the previous films, and that we definitely wanted to make it brighter and more colorful than the earlier films. One, because part of the film takes place underground, so we wanted to have a big difference that once you did come above ground, you really felt it. That the lights came on and the colors came out.
Now, I have some Boxtrolls notes for you guys, and just to kind of give an idea of how intricate, you know, it was to put this film together. 190 puppets were built for the Boxtrolls. 200 costumes were made for the movie. More than 20,000 props were handmade, and 55 sculpts of prop cheese were created for
we
the
learned a
Boxtrolls.
lot about cheese on this movie.
Definitely broadened my horizons in the world of fromage.
Lactosinally, yes.
I was like, oh my god, that cheese looks... I don't know if I want to eat that cheese now.
Nobody wanted to eat cheese after working on a movie for a while.
So how long did it take to put this film together?
Well, I mean...
Totally.
The
studios owned it, the rights to the book for 10 years.
10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Back when they were working on Coraline, they acquired the rights. And so in some form or another, even at the earliest days, Travis was working with a writer coming up with a treatment. I got involved about 6-7 years ago, but production of the actual making of the movie.
Yeah, the actual shooting schedule to make the film was about 18 months, which is the same as
it
was for Paranorman and Coraline, but there's a lot of prep to get to that point.
All right, well, real quick, I know we have to leave here. What was it like working with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost as the voices? Did you get to work with them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. It's funny, everybody thinks about them as a duo. They didn't even know each other was in the film until a couple of months ago. They were having dinner, and they work so much together. They said they don't usually talk about what they're doing separately, and then they wanted to do something. He goes, well, I'm doing this thing, the Boxtrolls, that thing. And they're like, you in there too? Because their characters never meet. They never recorded together, and they didn't know that they were there. They are both fantastic.
Yeah.
Nick Frost had a lot to do with, we loved his voice in the way it played with Richard Ayoade, and that's what you want. You know, it's kind of like putting a band together. You want the instruments to complement each other. So when we took clips from Nick Frost movies and we played them with Richard Ayoade, they sound like a great duo. They made you laugh just to hear them talking, even though the dialogue didn't make sense that we cut together. Yeah. But then when we went to Nick Frost, he looked at Trout's design with the broken nose and the way he seemed to be huffing and puffing. He kind of came up with that voice. And those two working together had a really special kind of magic, because the long pauses they would take before lines and some of the improv they brought to us, that's what led us to add that extra sequence that comes in the middle of the credits. We wanted to have one time where we didn't edit them and we let their little dialogue run on the way they like doing it.
That was really funny. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being here with me today. I really appreciate this film, and I will be wearing a box for Halloween.
Cheapest Halloween costume.
Most inexpensive
Yes.
trend you could ask for.
I know all the kids are talking about it right now, and so I think I'm going to join in with the kids for Halloween. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit sidewalkstv.com.